And we're back, and we are COMP305, and it's the winter 2016 semester, and it's week 5, lesson 5, part 2, right? Last time we just talked about the assignment 2, more assignment 2 criteria. We also started doing this pixel perfect platformer with physics 2D, right? That's what we're doing. One thing I want to do here, just as we stop, is I want to close down Unity, right? And look, it says, do you want to modify, you want to save the scene? I definitely want to save the scene here, so click Save. And when I go in here to Unity, I'm going to go into my terminal just to update GitHub for you. So I'll say git add dot, right? And then git commit -m. And we're going to say something like, you know, modified or brought in, added 2D platformer assets, 2D platformer assets, right? Because I want to try and I kind of added those in. And I'll say git push origin master, because that way I've sent up my assets so you can see the assets, how they've been incorporated into my game. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, notice, because I'm adding quite a few assets right now. So my assets equate to about 3.5 meg. So my project is at least going to be 3.5 megs big right now. And you're going to see this number really go up, like hundreds and hundreds of megs as we add in additional assets, right? Just be aware of that, and we'll have to do that. Okay, cool. Let's get back into this for a second, because today is really a setup day for platformer, and then tomorrow we'll do more, right, when we get together. So back into Unity. Let's open up Unity again. Here's Unity. And I got a bit of a problem, right? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to download this version right now. Let's just kill this. See how I skipped the version, right? Okay. Let's get in there. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm trying to bug you a little bit. So notice how we're in here again, and you know, we've got this tile map. It says tile map 14. This looks like a crate, right? That's what it is. And if I want to use this thing, this crate or whatever it is to fall, I can do that. If I go back into my tile map and start looking at them, here's a little bit of ocean. It looks like, right? Like a wave. This looks kind of like a gray block, right? And this is kind of like, looks like a, you know, a block with a little bit of grass on it and some brown. That might make a good tile for a platformer, right? Same thing with my gray block with some, you know, some grass, just a gray block, and different kinds of them, right? So to give you know, more variation. A cracked block, that's interesting. Maybe you can crack the block somehow if you want to. There's another one that's cracked in different ways, and this is that one, this crate that we're using right here. But again, notice that on the corners we have these white areas, right? Well, if I go back to my tile map, one of the things I can do, my texture type is Sprite 2D and UI. I could change this, but I warn you that once I do, right, once I change this one, it'll mess up everything else that happens in the scene. So the best place to do all my adjustments here is outside of Unity, right? So let's do that. I'm going to bring my tile map outside of Unity into Fireworks. You can choose your favorite program, right? So I'm going to, in order for me to do that, I'm going to look at my desktop, and I have a Unity project section, and I have my latest thing, my winter semester. Inside there, I have assets. I'm going to go right in there to sprites, and I have my tiles. And I've got my thing that I've renamed tilemap.jpg. Hey, here's a question: can my JPEG have transparencies? Typically, no. So I've got to change this up. I got to use another sheet here, right, to do that, which is going to affect my map. Remember, this is just an example scene to get us going, right? So just bear with me while I do this. I'm going to double-click my tile map JPEG, and it's going to bring up my default program, where I can open it up with a specific program. I'm using Fireworks. You can also use Photoshop or Illustrator or something else, or Paint or whatever, or GIMP, or whatever you want to use. I'm just going to use Fireworks. Okay, so Fireworks loads up, and again, this is a professional little program. But take a look. I have some areas in my on my tile map here that have this little white spot, right? So I can't target everything in one fell swoop. I got to kind of target these little areas because I want to get rid of this area here. Otherwise, it's going to appear on my map. This white part is good because this is just a wave. But do I want the top of this to be black? I probably don't want the top of it to be black, right? So that doesn't make any sense for my wave either. So there's some modifications I can do to my map to make it more useful for me, right? And again, this is just some simple blocks. You're going to get some other ones. And you can get ones that don't have this problem, right? But I have a problem that I want to fix, and I want to show you how to do that. So I'm going to use the wand tool here, right? And as I zoom in, in order for me to do that, I got to zoom into a good level, like here. And take a look. If I use my wand tool, by the way, my tolerance down here in Fireworks shows 20, right? And if I click on this, it'll highlight that area to kind of, you know, clip away this area here to make it white in the background. Be careful. Right now my edge, right, my anti-alias edge is 0, right? I can also choose a feather edge, right, which does one of these. That's not what I want, right? With 10 pixels, I can go with 1 pixel as an example to show you the difference here. So you can see how it's going to map out to this. It still does a feathering. Or I can go hard edge, right, which does exactly as pixel perfect as it can go. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. We're using pixel perfect collision, so it's a really good idea to understand a little bit of graphics. Notice how in here it's using most of these white areas, right? But there's some lighter areas here that are still going to look kind of out of whack for our images, and you're going to see almost like this little white halo, right? So how do I fix that part? Well, my tolerance is the big part of it. So if I press escape or here, and again I get my magic wand tool back in here and click on this thing, right? Notice that my tolerance is 20. I can drop my tolerance down. If I drop my tolerance down to 10, I'm going to get less of it. Notice that there's stuff. If I go up 1, if I go to 30, right, it wraps closer. And what it's trying to do is match up the color types so it's as close as it can to where it's going to be. Let's go to 40 or 50 for tolerance. Again, you can use your favorite program. I like Fireworks because we keep it simple this way. Let's go to 50. Right, notice how now it's starting to crop off even some of the lighter ones, right? The higher tolerant, the higher number, right? So it's going to try and incorporate more of the stuff it sees, but get rid of, so it includes all this in my map, something that matches up with this white. And the lighter tiles here kind of match up with the white. So 50 is probably the right number for me because I noticed that this is probably what I want. I'm still going to have some lighter areas here, but this is okay. And by the way, guys, if you can't get this or you don't have Fireworks, wait till I upload to GitHub and download that asset that I'm just modifying here. Don't do it yourself if you don't have the programs. I'm doing it for you, right? I'm just showing you how it's done, right? I'm going to press delete. And notice now that I have this white background, right? Or this hatched background here. This means that it's transparent. I want to do that for all of them, right? All these areas. And it's simple to do. Again, I'm just going to zoom in here and so I can see all of them, but not more than all of them. And then use my magic wand tool just to select those areas. So select that one, right, delete, this one, delete, this one, delete. And it's not going to be perfect by any means. You might have to do some more modification until all those areas are transparent so we don't see as much of that. It's a simple game kind of manipulation of the art. Sometimes we need to do that, especially when we borrow an image like we're doing here. Yes? Not that does this exactly, but I would recommend something like GIMP if you wanted to get a free tool that's free. And I'm all for open source, so GIMP is free and open source. You can download it, and it'll do almost the same thing. I just find that this is a little quicker for me, so that's why I use it. Okay, so that's all the whites are gone. I want to do the same thing with the blacks, and notice how it's going to get rid of this whole thing. It's just trying to match colors, right? Whatever I click on, and just press delete. But look what I got. I got this little black outline here, right? So this is probably where I want to do more feathering, right? Or whatever. So let's undo that change and go back in here. Sometimes you'll get that, and you'll get the same thing. There'll be a white halo around these ones. You'll see that in a second. It won't be perfect. Like for me to do a really great job, I'd have to go in here pixel by pixel and get rid of stuff. So you see that there's quite a bit of gradient from this black to this white. That means I'm going to have to increase the tolerance a little bit. So I'll go back here. Notice my tolerance is 50, right, as an example. I want to try and increase this even more. If I go to 100, only going to take, that's 10. If I go to 100, right, it doesn't really change much here, no? What if I change from a hard edge to an anti-alias edge, right? And I increase the size of my, my feather edge. I change my feathering to about, 10 pixels or so, right? So if I go, or 20 pixels, what does it do, right? So I'm just going to kind of escape here and go back to this. And notice how when I do that, that's not what I want, right? 20 pixels is way too much, right? And let's change this to 1 pixel. And now you see that it kind of covers right into the white, and it's going to just take all the black with 100 tolerance, by the way. I'm at 100 tolerance. Most of the black, right, and all the dark areas, and only leave the white. Now, this is not going to be great because this is not a great image. The image is a little bit pixelated as is, which means, and again, we're going to have some pixelation, right, along the edges of the image, right up until the bottom. You can see that there's going to be areas that I might still have some black areas when I cut this out, right? Again, a lot of this is a bit of an art to it, right? I'm just going to press delete, and you can see what I'm talking about. All right, and press escape, so you can see the image now. Notice how the image, if I zoom out now, my image is here. It looks like a little better than what we saw before. Is there a black outline? There is, but it's so subtle, so you can see that there's a bit of a wave. And I wanted that effect, right? I didn't want to be perfect. Now, I got to change my type. Right now, we're sitting at a JPEG, and JPEGs won't do for us. We need to use a PNG image. That's kind of the best way to do so, a PNG. So I'm going to say File, Save As, right? And I can choose in the same area. I'm right inside my Unity project. This is the great thing about Unity, right? I'm going to change this from JPEG, right, to PNG, right? Here's my PNG. There it is. Now it says flattened PNG. Let's go to Fireworks PNG so we get some. We can load this back in again. And now again, you can use a PNG with some that keeps track of the transparencies, what I really want. And notice it says add file name extension, right? So the PNG extension into this tile map, and press save. Yay, it saved it as a PNG now, right? Okay, cool. Let's drop out of Fireworks. Actually, I'll leave Fireworks up. I'll just stop, kill this file for a second, and go back in here, right? And inside my sprites, in my tiles, I have another tile map. It's also called tile map, but this one is a PNG. And also notice that there's some transparency now on the top of the tile map, in between all the tiles, right? So we're going to use these tiles. Let me just get rid of this one. So I'm going to get rid of this object here. I'm going to use a second tile map here from my tile map and get rid of the other one. So I'm just going to kind of click on this one and just delete it. That's the JPEG. And this one here is my new tile map, but I have to cut it up again. So I'm going to go to single, go to multiple. I'm doing this a bunch of times, so you see how to do this. That's why I'm doing it. It's my underlying motive. I'm going to change pixels per unit to 1 because I know that's what it's going to end up being, right? So multiple, 1. I'm going to go to I'm going to kind of apply my changes here, right? So I'm going to apply. There we go. And I'm going to go back into my sprite editor, right, and do recut. So I'm going to go slice, and I'm going to say instead of automatic, it's going to be grid by cell size, and grid by cell count. And what I want to do here is 1 by 1 is not right. It's 3 columns by 5 rows. So 3 columns by 5 rows. And press slice. There you go. So as best as I can get them, right? And click apply really quickly. If I do that, go back, I have the exact same thing I had before, except now in my tile map 14, there's transparencies around the corners if I got them all. Did I get them all? I think I got them all. If I didn't, I can always fix it. Let's try this and I'll upload to GitHub. All right, cool. So now look what I get. See, I get more of a rounded looking shape. I don't have those corners, which was really ugly to me, drove me crazy, right? All right, what is the ratio? Because remember, this is 196 by 196. I want to make this, I want to rescale this thing down to normal size, right? Or the size of my pixel perfect map here. Well, it's 0.3625, right? 0.3265, right? Or 3625, no? You guys are killing me. Applications, calculator, right? How did I figure that out again? I took 64 and divided it by my tile map, right? Which is equal to 0.3265. It's killing me, right? There it is. So copy. It's good to know the calculation. So any other tile, if you want to make it 64 by 64, you take the 64, the tile size you want, over the actual tile size, and then you get the ratio. When you multiply that by the scale, you put that number in the scale, and then you get the exact, or pretty much close to 64 by 64. Okay, cool. Again, I want to make this fall. I'm going to just do it again, so you see it again. Add component. I'm going to go physics 2D, and I'm going to add a rigid body 2D to it. I'm going to change my gravity scale to 100, so it falls at a decent rate. Okay, cool. I want it to collide though, right? I want it to collide. So if I want this to collide, I need to add another one. It's going to be a collider. What's the best collider for this one? So physics 2D, and it's going to be a collider. Well, it's a box. So box collider is perfect, right? So let's say box collider 2D. Yay. Okay, there's my box collider 2D. I'm not going to make it a trigger for this one. No, no, no. Do not make it a trigger. It's just going to be a regular collider. Okay, there's my box collider, right? Cool. This is my tile map, and this is called a crate, right? Hey, this is a great place to make a prefab. So how do I make a prefab? I'm going to make a new folder. It has to have the prefab name. So create a new folder. It's going to be called prefabs. And I'm going to take this name, this template tile map 14, and change the name first. It's going to be changed to crate or some kind of thing like that, right? So here's my crate. So it looks like a crate, right? Or a box of some sort. And then I'm going to drag it into my prefabs folder the way it is, right? So drag it into my prefabs folder. Yay, prefab. Now my crate, I can generate my crate. If I just tag this up, I can tag it as a crate too. So let's tag it up. So I'm going to go untagged. I'm going to change this to add a tag in there. If I want to call it up, I want to access this by tag name. I'm going to change this to crate. My crate. I haven't done it though. I have to go back into prefabs. I'm going to click my crate and then pull down crate and click. And when I do that, now even this one is a crate, right? Because it's my prefab. Okay, cool. I want to do the same thing really quickly, but I want to make another one in Fireworks, right? And I want to include this new one in here to show you some collisions, right? So I'm going to go Fireworks. So this is from scratch. I want to make a tile from scratch, right? How do I do that? File. I want to go New. And what's my tile size? 64 by 64. So I make that the size of my screen, 64 by 64 to make it easy. I could make it bigger if I wanted to match up my screen size. 640 by 480 is okay. With a transparent background is what I want. So it looks like this is my actual screen size to simulate my screen. And my tile, if I want to make it 64 by 64, I can just take a box, right? My rectangle, and just draw 64 by 64, right? Now, normally, I've already preset the color for you, right? So let's, down here, I can modify it to 64 by 64 by just drawing, by putting it in there. There's my 64 by 64 tile. If I zoom in, I notice that it also has no border, right? I don't want to have a border on this thing. I could. Let's put a border in there, right? So I'm going to put a border of black, make it a black border. Yeah, that's my little tile, right, that I made. And you might say, Tom, why a border? Trust me. Border. And it's a brown tile. And I'm going to zoom in here, right? So it's just going to be this tile. So I'm going to cut the rest of the image so it's the right size. And I'm going to put File, Save As. And you know what? I'm going to put it in my tiles as a separate tile we're going to call Platform. We're just going to call it Platform like this. Platform. Here we go. Now you can make it so whatever it's called, or Platform tile. It's a platform. I'll say Platform tile like this. Yay, here's my Platform tile. And it's still going to be a PNG. I'm going to click Save. It goes into Unity, right? I'll update Unity in a second for you guys. So here's under my sprites. I have in my tiles, I have a platform tile now. Here it is that is created in Fireworks. And I'm going to drag this one onto my scene like this. Oh, what happened? Well, here's my platform tile. What happened? Well, my platform tile is really small. It's 100 by 100. I want to go one by one. I want to go from bilinear to point, right? And let's bring my preview down and click Apply. There it is. There's my platform on the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, right? This is my platform tile. I want to make this bigger, right? So how do I do that really fast? I want to, while I have platform highlighted, I'm going to choose this button here on the top, which expands it. And I'm just going to expand it this way. There's a problem. You can see the problem right now because I put a border on this platform, right? So let's move it over so you can see it. There's a border on the right and left. Why? Because the border expanded too, right? That's what happened. And if I want to put multiple of these little platforms together, so I undo that change, right? There it is. I want to kind of put multiple tiles together, like I did before. So if I expand it, it's one thing, but I want to put this one on the left, and I want to press duplicate. So I'm going to right click, and I can duplicate it, or Alt D on the PC, or Command D on the Mac, right? Duplicate and pull this aside. So here's my second piece of my platform. I want to kind of zoom in here, right? Just to show you this thing. So press F to zoom in. Notice that they're not connected. I want to make them as close as possible. So kind of put them together. And this is just by eye. You can do it numerically over here too, right? If you want to. But let's just not do that. Let's add, let's kind of connect both platforms. And I want to duplicate those now and move them over. So make a little platform. This is what you're going to do with tiles, in effect, right? You're going to take these tiles. Okay, cool. So I've got like these 4 tiles as starting off with my platform. I can add physics to this one. But here's a question for you guys. If I have a platform tile, which is what I'm doing, I'm duplicating this platform tile. If I want to add physics to my platform, and here's the big question for you, intuitively, should I do it per tile or should I do it for the whole platform? What do you recommend? You might think that, right? The problem with this is, I'm just saying, the problem with this is, what are you going to add? First of all, I need to add a, some kind of collider. What shape does, if I make this an empty object and I pair these objects into an empty object, so my empty object is called platform, like this. Here, let's make an empty object. And in my empty object, I want to make this empty object called platform, just if you're thinking to do this, right? And I want to take all these tiles that I just made really quickly, oops, these platform tiles, and put them inside my platform. Yay. Now my platform is the main object, right? And my tiles inside of them are just child objects, right? So if I try and put a collider on my platform, what size does my collider have to be? How do I know what it is? If I just put it on a single tile, it automatically hugs that tile because Unity knows what to draw. Unity does not know how to draw things around an irregular shape that's a child of an empty game object. So if I was trying to apply a collider here, add component, physics 2D, box collider 2D, right? Where's my collider? It's way in there. If I go like kind of zoom in there, right, to see where my collider is, right? It's right in there. And if I was to click edit, it's like so small. Look at it, right? Now I can make it bigger. I can make so that this collider is like stretching out the actual thing. So I'll draw it for you. Here it is, draw collider, Tom. I'm doing it just for you guys because, I have such good feelings for you guys, right? And draw the collider. We're just going to draw it out so you can see it as I move, as I zoom out. We're going to make the collider the same size here, approximately as the platform. Here we go. There's my collider, right? So I've made it. My collider is not part of the tiles. It's part of the whole platform, right? Okay, cool. And this is this big. Cool. So that means that if I take this thing here, right, and if I move this thing over here, and if it should fall on top of this platform, and then it should stop, right? Let's try this out. So let's play. And boom. Yay, right? Pretty good. Notice how I went into the platform a little bit and came back out. Let's try that again so you can see it. Right? Well, boom. Right? Kind of see how it sank in there? That's the effect I was telling you about with that weird physics stuff going on. The farther up I drag my thing, this is live now. So this is live. The farther up I drag this thing, the more it's going to sink into my platform. See the sinking? Let me show you that again. See that it's crossing? Boom. So I can do that. I can put a platform. Now, what is my platform not dropping? Is there a reason? My platform's not dropping away. My platform's staying exactly where it is, not moving. How come? I didn't add a rigid body 2D to it. And you don't. For platforms that don't have anything to do with gravity, right? If you want them to be static objects on the screen, the rule is do not add a rigid body 2D. If I added a rigid body 2D to the platform, it would fall too, right? Or I can make it, have other weird effects, which we'll go into later. All right, so recap. If I want to make a platform of a bunch of tiles, right? I could intuitively add a collider to each of the tiles, and then all together, the tiles would have, when I pair them up with a empty game object, which is my platform, right? They would have a combined set of colliders. But the easier way to do it is to make some set collider or my platform sections here. But you'd have to redraw the collider because the Unity doesn't know how big your platform is. So this is the more efficient way of doing it. But I wouldn't be upset with you if you did each individual tile has its own collider. Okay, I wouldn't be upset with you if you did it that way. This is just a style thing, and we use it to solve different problems, which we'll see in a second. Okay, so when we get to this, so So we learned a couple things. We learned about gravity and how gravity is whacked when it comes to pixel perfect stuff. We have to change the gravity scale. So if I ask you questions about that next time on a test, as an example, right? We have to use, in order for us to enable gravity on objects, we need to use a rigid body 2D. No rigid body 2D, no gravity, like we have in the platform. Platform, no gravity. Crate has gravity. Colliders have to be around for something to stop. If I take my collider away from my platform, the crate will fall straight through. Okay? Any questions before we end for the day? I know we're going slow, but in order for us to build this crazy platform game, you have to understand each piece to it. Otherwise, what's going to happen is there's going to be gaps in your understanding, and when you try and make it on your own, you're going to go, "Wah! How do I do this thing?" Right? See you tomorrow. I will.